Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Oh, good morning and happiest of Wednesdays to all. Tomorrow we're going to be in Austin, you guys, and I'm just going to give you the heads up. It became freezing in Texas overnight, so be prepared. Chandler, especially you. I know you're soft about weather, so I want to make sure you're prepared for that. Guys, we have some good news. Games are back tonight. Well, we have one game tonight, and then everybody's back tomorrow, but we will get to that. Kenny Beecham will join us a little bit later on in the show, but there's some news out there, and we now live in a whole new world where trades are concerned. So Howard Beck is reporting that NBA executives believe the Grizzlies could move Ja Morant this summer. He's missed 22 games already, but in the 32 that he's played, he's averaging 21 and 7 assists in 29 minutes a game. Lou, what the heck? He is signed through 27-28. Why would you even consider trading away Ja?
Yeah, this is surprising and confusing at the same time, right? Like, you didn't expect that to be something that you would hear, especially after the deadline was just what about last week, 10 days ago, something like that. Like, why wouldn't we have that conversation then? But it's confusing. You know, Memphis is one of those places where it's like a niche market, right? You got to have guys that fit that persona, that grit and grind, get your hands dirty type of persona. And Ja Morant fits that. You know, that comes off the heel of, you know, Marc Gasol, Tony Allen, and Zach Randolph, and all of these guys that had that persona, had the personality that matched the city and what that market was about. And Ja Morant fits that, you know. So for this to come up now or to have any validity to it, it has to be something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to that information. But, you know, Memphis would be crazy to even field questions about trading Ja Morant unless there's something going on that we know absolutely nothing about.
Nuts, Chandler.
Yeah, and listen, before this Luka Anthony Davis trade, I would have just skimmed right over this, right? Now everyone's on notice. Everyone believes these reports, these rumors, and at the end of the day, this guy's a 25-year-old All-NBA type player who was Rookie of the Year to then Most Improved Player of the Year. He's gotten better, and like, I wouldn't, but again, sure, I would maybe see what you could get for him, see what kind of package you could put for anybody, I guess, now, ever since the Luka trade. But like Lou said, this is a small market team. They struck gold with him in the draft, which is what you have to do if you're Memphis, unless you want to go and you want to overpay somebody and bring someone in. Free agency wise, not necessarily a destination, but they have built something there and they have this culture there. And Ja Morant, no matter all his issues off the court, I feel like that's just a distant memory now. And he's focused on basketball and hooping, and he's the heart and soul of this team. So he's been great for them. I don't see this happening unless you're getting an absolute boatload back. I keep him and I ride. They're the 2 seed. They're 36 and 18 right now. They're the 2 seed in the West. Don't fix what's not broken. I would keep him. And this is a young core, him and Bane and Gigi and Jaren Jackson. They're on to something here. So I would stay put, because when they're healthy, this team is elite.
It is funny though. Like, you're right. Before the Luka trade, even that it is Howard Beck reporting, I still would have been like, yeah, that's not happening. Now everything can happen. So it's sort of changed the way we digest these breaking reports.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of like the Timberwolves last year. Like they had such a good year. You're gonna go and trade Ja Morant right now. Like this, it reminds me of the Karl Anthony Towns trade. Like, why? You guys are right there. Right. Obviously, the Thunder are still the team to beat, but this guy's your all everything. There's no need to do it. He's 25 years old. Like, I wouldn't even consider this.
This even feels bigger than that, because in Minnesota, they still have Ant. I feel like Ja is the Memphis Grizzlies, like trading him away. Yes. It's Luka. This is weird. This is very odd, but maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. We are heading into the final run here of the regular season after the All-Star break. So before we can get to some of the games, we got some questions. The biggest ones as we head closer and closer to the playoffs. We're going to start with the Celtics. They are second in the East, 5.5 behind Cleveland, but still odds-on favorites to win the title again. Lou, you think they could become the first team to repeat since the Warriors?
Yeah, but I feel very confidently in saying that. You know, you look around the league, you look at the teams that are going to put pressure on them for that title, And it just feels like some of those teams doesn't have that pedigree that Boston has already built. You know, we can start in the East, Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavaliers, they're the #1 team, but it's somewhat of a surprise. It's kind of taking everybody aback. They don't have that reputation as being that top team to give them a legitimate opposition to them getting back to the championship and ultimately winning the championship. But they're a good basketball team. So you got your doubts there. You got your doubts with New York. You go to the Western Conference. If they were to get to the finals, you know, you got OKC up and coming, probably going to have the MVP this year, probably going to have the team of the future 4 years to come, but still hadn't quite got there, still hadn't got over that benchmark of us taking them seriously as a contender until they do so. Right now, all of the teams that's in the running, that's in the top spots, you know, the top 2 in the West, the top 2 in the East, only the Boston Celtics have that pedigree, have that championship run. You got Denver right there knocking on the door at the 4th spot. They can possibly get there to 3 right after this break finishes up. But other than that, Boston is the only team that I have supreme confidence in. And for that reason, I think they'll repeat. I think they'll be that team.
All right, Chandler, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think I would take them right now as the champs. You tell me pick one team. Their starting 5 is so elite. They defend. They still get a little 3 crazy, and they don't play that fast either. So they shoot a lot of 3s, and a lot of times it's in the half court. I think like the 25th pace team. So they don't even really get up and down, and they still just hoist a bunch of 3s. So they have to have a better balance of that, of their offense. But their starting 5 is so good. Peyton Pritchard's been unbelievable as 6-man. Can they still keep getting stuff from the other guys? Can Hauser keep being efficient? Can Al Horford be efficient? And the big question to me is, can Porzingis stay healthy? I think he's only played 29 games. Can he continue to stay healthy? Can they start working him in the rotation as a huge pick and pop, just another offensive weapon that makes them even more dangerous? But yeah, it's last year was so easy. I think they kind of had such a cakewalk to the finals last year. It's not going to be that this year. Like the Cavs are real. The Knicks are real. They've struggled both games against the Celtics so far this year, but the Knicks are tough. The Knicks on paper should match up well with the Celtics. They haven't in the first 2 meetings. They still have to play 2 more times, but teams aren't just going to lay down for them this year. And barring some health issues, they're still the team to beat.
So you mentioned some of those other Eastern Conference teams. You got to pick one that gives the Celtics the most trouble. Who is it, Chandler?
It's got to be the Cavs, right? I mean, they're young. They bring in DeAndre Hunter in at the trade deadline, who can really, be that 3-and-D guy that can defend Tatum in the playoffs, that can defend Jaylen Brown in the playoffs. And the Cavs, they have it all. They play fast. They also shoot a lot of 3s. They have great guards play. They have great lob threats at the rim with Mobley and Jared Allen. So they're deeper than the Boston Celtics. So they're on pace to run a historic season here, and they could set records in Cleveland this year. So you can't look past them. Besides that, again, I think the Knicks, I think like OG and Mikal Bridges can match up with Brown and Tatum. They've been blown out. I think they lost by 30 like 10 days ago to them. So it's tough for me to say the Knicks at this point. It's probably going to come down to Cleveland and Boston. Honestly, those have been the 2 best teams all season long, and it looks like they're going to continue to do that these last 30 games. But so Boston kind of went up and down here these last couple of weeks before the season. I do expect them to sharpen things up, kind of get locked in. You see them really peak these last 30 games.
Yeah, they're just chilling, Lou. They're just chilling. Okay, so let's look at the struggling Eastern Conference. I'm going to pull mine up right now. Is there a team on there that maybe is not having the smoothest ride so far, but they're going to have a second half surge? I hate saying half. It's not mathematically accurate, but Lou, you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know what? I still like the Knicks. I like the Knicks to make a run, even though they're in 3. They haven't went through a lot of turbulence, but I feel like that's going to be the team that's going to come out of this break ready to roll. They could have used the break. Obviously, it's well documented how many minutes those guys play, how hard they go in that. And they found a 7 to 8 guy rotation. Aside from being top heavy, they found something good coming off the bench with Cameron Payne and McBride. And once you get OG back in that lineup, that gives you 8 solid guys that you can depend on. And if you want to even go 9 deep, you can go Landry Shamet, who can shoot the hell out of the basketball. They found a great mix of talent, great mix of guys. I always love when New York is in the mix to be a disruptor. When they can be a contender, it just makes basketball a lot more fun. The fan base is going to be behind them. They're going to play energetic You have guys that are hard-nosed basketball players that's going to play a certain brand of basketball that you're going to need in the playoff basketball, in playoff basketball in 7-game series to give you chances to win really big basketball games, especially going up against the Boston Celtics. So when you talk about an organization that's used to big crowds, used to big moments outside of the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks are going to give me that energy. So they're not one of those teams that I feel like they're going to get better and better as in terms of where they stand in the standings. But I feel like coming out of this break, they're going to ball.
And maybe Mitchell Robinson actually comes back, guys.
There you go. Yep.
Can you imagine?
That's too many guys, though. That's 10 guys. No way Tibbs plays 10 guys.
Tibbs is gonna freak out. He's like, who are all of you? Why are you here? I kind of love the idea of that. Do you have anyone different than that, Chandler, or no? It's Knicks for you.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna go with the Orlando Magic just because they started off so hot and they were just doomed with injuries, right? They lost Paolo, they lose Franz Wagner, they lose Jalen Suggs. Like the other Wagner's out for the rest of the season, but this team was hot at the beginning of the year. They defend. Jamal Mosley's got them playing so well. They're getting production from these bench guys. And then they literally lost their 2 main guys for months. Now they're fully healthy. Are they a contender this year? No, but I do expect them to make a surge, and I expect them to definitely be in that kind of 4 to 5 to 6 range of the playoffs. I think they can pass Indy. I think they can pass Milwaukee. They're fully healthy. This team's for real. And it looks like Suggs, Wagner, and Paolo are all going to be, you know, ready to go for the second half of the season. So I expect them to kind of get back to where they started the season out.
Look at Chandler, always repping Orlando. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Western Conference. Now, Denver has been on a run. So I want to just preface this with it's kind of a different question, or at least it feels a little different now, Lou, because the Thunder, clear favorites. They have been running away with this thing basically all season long. How big of a disappointment would it be, though, if they did not get to the finals?
It's getting there because they're starting to earn expectation. You know, you have to be one of the favorites to earn expectation. Like at first it was a little honeymoon, like, okay, these young guys are turning the corner, they're getting over their hill, and now they have an expectation of excellence to be a really good basketball team. They've been the clear favorite in the Western Conference all year. It feels like there isn't a veteran team that's on their heels. You know, even though Denver is making a run, the next team is still 8 games behind those guys. Doesn't look like they're gonna look back and allow anybody to get in a position to take that 1 spot. They're gonna be the clear favorite. So I think at this point it'll be a huge disappointment for them not to at least reach the NBA Finals and represent Oklahoma City in that fashion, simply because of how they've been playing. You know, at this point we gotta rip the Band-Aid off. We gotta take that young tag off of these guys. They are a legitimate threat. They pose a legitimate threat to come out of the Western Conference and give Boston or Cleveland, whoever else that's going to come out of the East, a run for their money. You know, so all of the training wheels and all of the excuses that we've made for them that's based around youth, that's out the window now. So it'll be a huge disappointment if they don't make it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've put this team on a pedestal, rightly so. And as young as they are, they're also built to win right now, right? You don't pay Hartenstein $80 million to not win. You don't bring in guys like Alex Caruso. They bring in Daniel Theis right now at the deadline. The future is so promising here. And we always talk about how stacked they are with young talent and assets, picks, but they are healthy and poised to win right now. And they've been the most dominant team all season long. They probably have the MVP on their team in SGA, who's been tremendous. All-star Jalen Williams. Chet's now getting back healthy. He's back in the fold. So as young and as sky's the limit this team is, they are completely built to win right now. So it would be a huge disappointment. I don't think they shake things up if they don't get to the finals. I think they might make some minor moves, but they're in such a good position. But yeah, there's expectation. This is the best team in the Western Conference, probably the second best team outside the Celtics in the entire NBA. I don't care how old they are. There's expectations and pressure for them to win.
Yeah.
So here's why I think it's a little bit different, right? I think 2 months ago it'd be like, yeah, total disappointment. They are expected to just get through. But then all of a sudden we got Denver, who's won 8 straight, been there, done that. They've been champs, and they're 3rd in the West. So if it was to be Denver that overtakes them at the last minute and gets to the finals, does that sort of lessen the blow at all, Chandler? Like, okay, they lost, but no, really, it feels like it's giving them a little cushion to me. Why not?
No,
Go ahead, Chandler. Sorry.
And the Nuggets, they're hot, right? They're the hottest team in the NBA, and they do have probably the best player in the world. But this is a team a couple months ago. We were talking about their windows closing and they need to make a move. They should get off Porter, and Jamal Murray's not that second guy. And now just because they go on a little heat here and we trust them more because they're experienced, we can't give Oklahoma City a pass. Like I said, yes, they are young. Yes, they are a little bit inexperienced. They got a little exposed last year in the playoffs, but this team is good. And you can't just keep putting the young tag on this team because they've brought in vets. They've brought in Caruso. Lou Dort is a vet. Hartenstein, again, $80 million deal. You're not brought in to like be a good locker room guy. You were brought in to win championships and help these guys grow and develop. But there's absolutely pressure on this team. And I do think Denver is their biggest threat. There's some issues with Dallas with health. I think the Lakers was going to see how quick that kind of gets together. Memphis is right there if they can stay healthy. But yeah, when you're the clear-cut best team all season long, there are high expectations for you to win. And as good as the Nuggets are, you don't just get a pass for getting Jokic in the playoffs. If anything, it almost pisses me off more because this guy's not going anywhere for the next 5 years. We're gonna have to keep going through this dude. So you got to beat the bully. You got to beat the bully at some point, and it should be this year.
And check this out. We're jumping the gun. Like if the playoffs started today, their first round matchup would be the Los Angeles Clippers. And we know the history between the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. Like Denver has had the Clippers number dating back to the bubble. That is a team that would be hungry to play the Denver Nuggets in the first round with the way that they're playing. James Harden just represented them at All-Star Weekend. Norman Powell feeling like he's being left out. Kawhi Leonard getting healthy. This is a team that can really put a lot of pressure on the Denver Nuggets if this thing was to start today. So we're walking these guys to the finals. They got to look forward and they got to look behind them to maintain that position that they're in.
Very excited about all of it. SGA, we got to talk a little MVP here because SGA also clear-cut favorite as of now with Jokic second. But again, if you want to take numbers into consideration, it's a very interesting argument, Chandler. And you know it's going to get heated as we get closer and closer to time to actually name the MVP. Are you still taking SGA? Is there a world in which you could make this argument for Jokic for sure?
It's SGA right now, and it's probably going to finish SGA. They're 8.5 games back. I think the only way that he has a chance is if they catch it.
Proud of you, Chandler.
I like that.
I mean, look, there's 30 games. There's 30 games left. They're 8.5 games back. If the Nuggets keep on this tear and they take over the number one seed, Jokic keeps averaging 30 and 13 and 10.
Here it is.
Shooting 58% from the field and 45%. There's always going to be guys with numbers that are MVP level, right? Like there's multiple guys right now with stat lines that are MVP type. But you can't overlook the most dominant, best team in the conference. He's been so consistent. He's played, and again, I think unless the Nuggets literally get the number one seed, this is SGA's award this year. It's time. It's his. He's proven it. He could have won it last year. I can't see them jumping 8.5 games up and catching them. So I think he's got it in the bag.
We like challenges. Lou.
I'm just glad I'm not a vote member for this because I'm starting to understand the biases in having a vote because it's no way that I would vote against my rook for this award with the way that he's playing, with the way that he's going about this, man. There's no way that I would vote for anybody else besides SGA and how he's been able to keep the Oklahoma City Thunder relevant at number one. 8.5 games above Denver, 8 games behind, 8 games before Memphis. Like they're doing everything they can to maintain, and they're doing it in flying colors. They're doing it in a grand fashion, and that's on the back of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You know, so as well as Jokic is playing, as well as Denver is playing, it's still a catch-up game. Those numbers are those numbers because it's a catch-up game. So I think this race will get heated. For sure. Once it comes down to the nitty gritty, like you said, we got 30 games left in this season for these guys to duke it out and compete for that crown. But I feel like it's SGA's and it's a runaway.
Guys, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but as a foreign-born person myself, do you believe an American will ever win this award again, Lou?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think the international game is in a great run right now. You know, we keep talking about the NBA being one of the global sports of the world. Give it credit. The game has grown overseas. It's crossed the big pond. And a lot of these guys are holding up their end of the bargain and growing the game. And so right now it is international. Now, if it goes to Canada, that's pretty close to home.
No,
So it's,
no. What are you running for president? No, that's not how this works.
I'm not. Well, that don't have nothing to do with what we're talking about either. But
Canada's not ours, despite what everyone wants to think.
That ain't what I said. I said it's getting closer back to home. It's getting closer. So if it went from overseas to Canada, what's the next stop? It's going to be back home. So that's when I feel like.
If I told you the MVP this year averaged 27, 9, and 6, you'd be like, yeah, right?
For sure.
Makes sense. That's Jason Tatum's numbers. Like so. Like he's probably third or fourth right now, like an MVP. Giannis is probably above him. Jokic is definitely above him. SGA's above him. So if I'm looking at the next American player, it's got to be the best player on probably the best team in the NBA, which is who I picked this year, Jason Tatum. I don't think anyone expected this for the Cavs. But if the Celtics were having the year that the Cavs were, and Tatum was averaging 27, 9, and 6. I think it's probably his or I think it's close still between him and SGA, but now I think Jokic is third, and it's all about winning, and the Celtics are going to win a lot of money. Obviously, there's guys like Anthony Edwards that are going to have a chance. They're just going to have to win at an elite level, but to me, my pick would be Jason Tatum as the next guy because the Celtics aren't going anywhere.
I wonder if the Celtics were to win again and repeat, and then you come in next season, I wonder if it would be a different light that would shine on Jason Tatum, sort of like he starts the year with MVP expectations. Because I feel like he's always a little behind the 8 ball. And then by the time we get to this part of the season, he's third or fourth. But what do I know? Kenny Beecham is standing by, and he will be back. We haven't talked to him in a minute, so we got a lot to catch up on. There he is. We'll be right back.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
Well, he's back, y'all. He is the co-founder of Enjoy Basketball, host of Small Ball Podcast. Kenny Beecham, with his amazing background, returns to the show. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm excited to talk some hoops.
I know. It's funny that we ease in with. Yeah, why do you look different? Is your hair like
different?
Oh, I cut my hair. I don't know. Did I cut my hair last time we talked? I used
That's
to have
what it is.
The twist, and now I faded it, so a little different.
It makes you look even younger.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Oh man.
That's a good.
I don't like that.
About. You don't like to look young? Oh, honey, you're gonna want that one day. Trust me.
Got a little bullet yesterday myself.
Yeah, we know, Chandler. You reek of Florida through and through. Okay, we got to get to sort of the one-on-one thing. I'm pretty excited to hear from you on, because it seems to be picking up some steam. It seems to be getting actual positive feedback from players that are currently in the league, including Kyrie Irving, who said he's in. The $1 million probably doesn't hurt, Kenny. What do you think about the idea of adding that to All-Star Weekend?
I love it. I mean, it's what the fans have been asking for a very long time, and we just saw Unrivaled do it, and it was phenomenal. Like, I didn't get to watch many of the 3-on-3 games, but when I saw 1-on-1 on the schedule, I was locked in. So, like, my favorite player, Nafisa Collier, was out there hooping, and I'm like, I need to see her go against other great players. So if we can get the players interested, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the event is. If the players are interested, it will be fun. And the Ones tournament is a beautiful idea.
That is the thing. If the players are in, like, it's going to be infectious. Like, we're all going to be excited to see it. And I'm telling you, they seem to be in so far. Give me a few people that you need to see enter this contest.
So one thing that I saw in Unrivaled that I hope that gets adjusted by the NBA is that we did get so many games where it was a big versus a small, and usually the big just ended up winning. So I'm hoping that there's different brackets. So maybe it's like a 6'4" and under, then a 6'5" to 6'8", and then a 6'9" over. And if we're going for that smaller group, you're going to have Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson. Those dudes are going to win their ones. And then the middle group, the wings, I would say like SGA, even though he's a guard, he's 6'6", he's gonna kill it. I'm kind of interested in the guy like I talked to Spencer Dinwiddie. I know he's not an all-star, but he swears he's the best ones player of all time. So like I kind of like the idea of like some role players getting in there and running it. So maybe I'll go with Dinwiddie too.
Don't separate it.
Give me Cam
You don't want to
Thomas.
separate them.
No, don't separate it, because that's where the trash talk comes in. You always got Chandler will tell you in the locker room, you always got smalls talking trash to bigs. You always got bigs talking trash to smalls. You got all the mid-range guys in the middies talking trash to everybody. No, let's get this thing, let's get some straightening right now. Everybody, every man for himself. It don't matter. You only get 2 to 3 dribbles anyway. However you use them is how you use them.
Well, Lou,
like that.
would you want to break it down ever and then everyone meets for a championship, or no, never break it down?
No,
Okay.
this is basketball. We don't need weight classes in basketball. Listen, if Cat is gonna run around and say he's the best shooting big of all time, prove it when you got me right up under you and you got 3 dribbles to get to the rim. Are you gonna use that jump shot that you say you got, or are you gonna use your 3 dribbles to try to bully? That's when you start playing basketball. That's when you start to weeding it out. I love that.
I mean, see,
And,
even Lou's excited. Just talking.
And even Kenny, we had Drew Holiday on the show, and he said that Peyton Pritchard is their best ones player on the Celtics. So you hear things like that, and you're like, all right, like let's get him in there. Like, even though you're probably not going to be in the All-Star game, like that, like that would be fun to watch and more entertaining than the game. But let's talk about the dunk contest. Matt McClung, 3-piece. Some people feel like Castle maybe could have won it because the whole prop situation. Now, what's your take on that? Like, do props hurt your score of a dunk? Do they help? Are they needed because everything's been done?
Honestly, I think it's that last point. So many things have been done that even Stephon Castle gave us some great dunks. They weren't stuff that we've never seen before, right? So, like, I think that props are super important. Now, I don't want it to be for every single dunk a person does, but, like, dunking over a car, cool. Dunking over a 7-footer who's standing on top of something, cool. I'm not one of those people that's going to be complaining a ton. We haven't had a competitive last round in the dunk contest in some time, and I thought Stephon Castle brought his A game, so it made it interesting. And at the end of the day, that's all we're really asking for, right? We just want it to be not a landslide for one person.
So answer me this. You see Wemby right there behind him in the orange shirt. If he pulled him out and he jumped over Wemby on one of these dunks, does he get the nod to win this, or still Max?
I'm just going to assume Wemby told him no. Like, if you have a teammate in Stephon Castle in the dunk contest and you need somebody to jump over, there's no way Stephon Castle didn't ask Wemby if he was down, right? And I think Wemby was like, nah, I'm good. I'm also the tallest person here. So if I get clipped and I'm also the franchise and maybe the face of the NBA, I can't get hit in the head. So I'm just going to say nah.
Yeah,
but I feel like they work together, because if you notice, Wemby's sort of like acting out the dunk as Steph's doing it. Like, it's like they work together. I think it's just an injury thing. I really believe that. Like, who's jumping over Wemby? Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah. It's too tough.
But it would be great TV. And along those lines, Ja Morant alluded to getting involved. He said maybe I should join. And then after that, he kind of started recruiting. You know, Aaron Gordon got involved. Zach LaVine got involved. Obviously, you got to have Matt McClung involved. It's his dunk contest, and it's his championship to defend 3 years in a row anyways. With those 4 guys, if you had that lineup, does that give us a great opportunity to bring it back?
Yeah, but I'm not buying it, man. These dudes talk every single year. And they always just say, I want to come back, and then nobody ever signs up. And then we end up with, shout out to my boy Modest Buzelis, but a rookie who averaging, 4 points per game on the season. I'm hyped, sure, but I'm not going to get too hyped until they write their name and say that I'm in. They need to do that right now for anybody to really care, honestly.
Right, because otherwise it's 2 months before, basically, and that's a forever from now, and they have so much time. I'm with you on that. It just feels like a tease, like a really, like Charlie Brown and Lucy in the football. Like, I don't like it. We've fallen for it before. I'm not doing it. The big criticism, Draymond was probably the loudest. He had the microphone and he was on the network carrying it, but it was the whole idea of the rising stars playing on a Sunday, and he basically referred to the fact that they don't deserve the privilege to play on a Sunday. First, what did you make of that part of the setup?
It was okay, I guess. I mean, I did think it was weird that we had a lot of first-time All-Stars like Jalen Williams and Kay Cunningham and Evan Mobley play like 6 total minutes at All-Star Weekend. It feels like a rush of a thing because you're doing all the media, you're doing all the appearances, and just to get 6 minutes of play so Zach Edey can play for 12 feels weird to me. I think this format helps. It could be cooler if we had, no disrespect to the team that made it, if we had a Rising Stars team with guys that we believe are going to be superstars, right? Like 2 years ago, if Paolo Banchero rookie season, he was on a Rising Stars team, you're like, oh my God, Paolo Banchero versus Kevin Durant. That's pretty cool. But if you look at that roster, they have some guys, Stephon Castle was on there, Dalton Connect, get some real hoopers out there, but we don't look at those dudes as like the next face of the NBA. So it does feel weird. They did give us a game, but nobody was really thinking that they were going to beat Steph Curry, you know? So I would much rather have it that the real All-Stars play. So I understand where Draymond's coming from.
Yeah.
What about the idea of the snubs? And Damian Lillard liked it as well. And granted, we can rename it. It does need some branding, but the snubs basically didn't make it. You make a squad of them. They'd be highly motivated. Would you rather see that?
I would point to Chandler and Lou here. Would you take that as kind of like disrespect? I didn't make the actual game. I'm the next guys up. I feel like there might be some competitive juices there.
Well, change the name.
Change the name. Don't make it snubs. Like even the Rising Stars got the Rising Stars. We didn't call them the young fellas or the young punks or the other
babies.
guys. We called them the Rising Stars. Like come up with a different name where it won't feel so them versus us or us on the outside consider snubs as if we're not good enough. If we can change the name, we can change some of the language. I think you'll get a good product out of it.
And it would have to be like a youngish guy, right? It'd have to be, or like someone that's never been there before. Like, I don't think Devin Booker wants to play on the snubs team. He's been a multi-all-star. I think Norman Powell would. I think Jalen Green would. I think maybe even Sabonis would. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I don't think a guy
I disagree, Chandler.
Like, I don't think a guy like Devin Booker guy was on the USA gold medal Olympic team this year. I don't think he wants to play on the snub team.
I think it's gonna be some guys that's gonna fight it, but look how Trae Young fight to be in the All-Star game. Like
Trae Young would have played on the snub team.
Like
for
so
sure.
some of these guys. Yeah, it just depends. I think some of these guys it's gonna rely a lot on personality. Like D Book, probably not, but a Trae Young or some of these other guys. I think they will fight for their spot if they weren't legitimate all-stars to start with.
And let's face it, like we'd rather watch those guys, the De'Aaron Foxes of the world play than these rising stars that, again, no offense to them, they are talented. There's some real hoopers there. But we're talking about mega stars that didn't make the game. I'd rather watch them play against the other stars. Like my kids have De'Aaron Fox jerseys, not these young rising stars. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be that.
But your kids really have De'Aaron Fox jerseys? Oh, I was like, oh, that's news, breaking news for the show. Okay, fair enough.
But also, Kenny, I think the biggest complaint from players were just all the breaks, right? And even as a guy watching, like I think there was almost 3 hours of Kevin Hart or, you know, the TNT guys, which is great. There's only 33 minutes or something of actual basketball. Like, do you think this format is a one and done? Do you think they try and tweak it a little bit? Do they go to the USA versus the world? Like, what's the best option, do you think?
I'm excited about the program of switching hands to a new company because I thought it was ridiculous. Like for Adam Silver to tell the guys like we need to take this serious, and then they hired the most unserious person on earth, Kevin Hart, to come out and just make jokes feels weird. Even after the game, Jason Tatum was like, "It was cool, but we sat down for 14 minutes and we're back cold again." It did feel weird to only have 30 minutes of basketball, man. Like, at the end of the day, the basketball is the product. It is, I guess, cool to see the biggest YouTuber in the world at All-Star Weekend, or cool to see one of the funniest dudes on earth there. But I was personally there to watch Steph Curry and to watch Jason Tatum and to watch Trae Young go between the legs of Steph. Like, I wanted basketball, and we didn't get that at a basketball event. That's wild to me.
Yeah. It's very weird when you say it like that.
I agree with you. And you know what else? We keep talking about the dunk contest. We talk about the three-point contest. I think Wemby and Chris Paul might have killed the skills competition.
How dare you?
I think somebody finally did it. And Wemby was upset with Anthony Edwards last year for not taking the skills competition seriously. And then him and Chris Paul come out. They don't shoot the shots. They find a loophole in the rules. Yeah. Ended up getting disqualified. But he said this was his idea. This wasn't Chris Paul's idea. I'm not buying. I think this came from the OG. This came from the vet. Now. But Wemby he's taking responsibility for this. Are you buying the fact that this was Wemby's idea, not Chris Paul's?
Man, we got 16 years of Chris Paul shenanigans, man. No way this is Wemby. This is Chris Paul through and through. It is funny though to think about the event being entertainment, and they're like, nah, we want to win this by any means necessary.
Yes.
And taking all of the penalties is so ridiculous that I honestly really liked it. Like, we have never seen something like this before, but I'm also like Chris Paul's biggest fan, so I have to find a way to like it.
You know what's crazy that you say that?
You know,
wait, because
like, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm laughing that Kenny said he's his biggest fan. I was always his biggest not fan, and now all of a sudden I'm like, this is awesome. CP's on my side.
He
Woohoo!
won you over, Beadle. He won you over with some shenanigans.
Yeah. What I was going to say is they went first, right? Like they went first in this competition. Yes. This would have stuck. This would the other groups have done the same thing and thrown the
Donovan Mitchell said they would have done it, and then they got disqualified, so they didn't. But he was like, and then he goes, that was basically they cheated. But Donovan Mitchell was like, well, we would have done it too if it would have worked.
Yeah, if it would have counted, why wouldn't you? You're not going to beat them if you're just trying to shoot the jumper. You know, like they would have had to. If they would have done this last and it would have counted, I think it would have caused complete chaos. The fact they went first and got DQ'd was hilarious.
In fairness, could you not make the argument that one shot looked like it was a concerted effort? I mean, it came close. I feel like I would have made an argument.
Chris Paul and Wemby said that they got confirmation beforehand that it was legal. So now we got this big conspiracy on who's lying, who's telling the truth. And a league needs conspiracies like these. This is a good type of conspiracy. It was legal.
Yeah, who told them? I don't know, but watching that in a bar without
somebody,
they had to have. They're not just CP's just not doing that. Like they had to have been like, so as long as we kind of shoot it, right? Somebody said yes, but I loved it. And it was very confusing without sound. So it took me a while to figure out what just happened. What a moment. We got to talk Joe Mazzulla because he's become a walking soundbite and did not disappoint during the weekend here as well, because he said that halftimes of all the things should be banned. Kenny, how are you feeling about that one?
It's amazing because I go to a lot of AAU tournaments, and it's basically no halftime at AAU. Halftime is 15 seconds. No coach is saying anything. It's just like get a little breath because we got another game tipping off on this exact court in 15 minutes, so we need to wrap up this second half. And Joe Mazzulla being so much of a hoop head, it makes it hilarious. But no way if this became a practice, Joe Mazzulla would be behind it, man. Like that halftime is important to get the rest or get the – yeah, I mean, y'all in the locker room more than I am, but I'm assuming somebody's giving a pep talk or there's some X's and O's on the board that are important at halftime. But what do I know?
Something? Y'all not go to the bathroom? Like
I don't know.
Normal stuff?
I don't know how to feel about it because I've literally never played a game without halftime. So I don't know the pros and cons of halftime, and not just something that you adjust to. You find something to do until the coach comes in and then you're back on the floor. It's not a big deal. So I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I've never thought about it until he said it. Now I'm starting to think it's just more for fans to use the restroom, to go get a drink and not miss the action. Like, because players, I guess, yeah, of course, you catch your breath, you make adjustments, but it's just always been part of the game. So maybe he's genius, maybe he's brilliant, and we're a step behind.
No.
We mentioned Draymond, and he had a lot of hot takes, right? He was very aggressive this weekend. The hottest one being that the Warriors had already offered him the head coaching job when he retires. Chances that this is true, first of all.
0% chance this is true. There's no way. I mean, could Draymond Green be a good coach? I guess so. He's one of the smarter guys in the league. But if he decided to retire this season, they're just going to fire Steve Kerr after all the success he's had this last decade and be like, Draymond is our guy. They've been catering to Draymond for all this time, so maybe that's the case. I think Draymond just be talking sometime, though. I like listening, but I think he just be talking.
Totally agree.
Sometimes I think he forgets the TNT from the podcast. Like they are very different platforms for speaking. So it's like, wait, which one is that? So we have not talked to you since the trade heard around the world, the Luka trade. Your reaction to that? Like what'd you think immediately?
I thought it was fake, like everybody. I thought Shams was hacked. There's no way. I texted Shams, but obviously he was busy. He didn't even see it, I would assume. And it's one of those trades that like you're going to think back in 20 years and you're going to remember exactly where you were when Luka got traded to the Lakers. And I was just sitting in bed waiting to go to sleep. And then I got the notification. I hit the group chat with the screenshot and I'm like, really? Texted Shams, no response. And then he responded to himself, said, yes, this is real. So I get out of bed. I go down to my office. I got to go to work. I got to make a video about this trade. And it was like, Yeah, the trade heard around the world. We've seen huge trades. We saw Kevin Durant get traded just like 2 years ago. That doesn't even compare to what the Luka Doncic trade really was. And now we 2 weeks later and we're still seeing people put together articles of what Nico Harrison was thinking about. The reality is he wasn't thinking about anything. There's no way you pull off this trade if you're the other 29 GMs. And here we are, Luka Doncic, no minutes restriction, Anthony Davis out for some time. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, that's the part that probably hurts the most. Kenny Beecham, we've missed you, buddy. We will talk soon. Enjoy the rest of the season.
Thank you. You too.
We'll be right back.
Run it back, run it up, run it.
I kind of love this, guys. In our bag, it's some comments on social media, people that have given and or asked. And so we're going to ask you guys. Chandler, you're up first. Who is the most overrated team in the West and East?
Oh God,
That's tough.
I'll say Houston, because they're right now the 4th seed. I think they're going to slide. I don't think they're a real threat. So the fact that they're possibly in a home court advantage, they're young, they're figuring something out. They have a great coach. They're on the rise, but I just don't look at them like a top 4 team right now. So I would say them, and then kind of same thing on the East, like the Pacers. Like I guess they started off so slow. Same kind of thing. They're kind of in the middle of the pack team. They're not really a threat. They're not a contender, but they are currently sitting in the 4th seed, and they have gotten hot over the last month. So those are 2 teams that it's just usually if I see a team at home court advantage, they have a chance to get out of that conference. And I just don't see the Pacers winning the East or the Rockets winning the West.
Any disagreement, Lou? Do you have somebody different?
Pretty spot on. Outside of
Okay.
on the yeah, pretty spot on the West and on the East. Pretty spot on. I'm with you, Chandler.
Got
We
it.
agree. We agree today.
All right,
There
there's
we go,
one.
baby.
Okay. Lou, you're up first on the next one. The question asked is, what more does LeBron have to do to be added to the MVP conversation?
I think this one is far gone. I think this one is far gone. Statistically, even for him to get in that 3rd spot where Jason Tatum is, I don't think he's gonna eclipse that. And from a team standpoint, I don't think they're gonna eclipse what SGA is doing with OKC, what Jokic is doing with Denver, and what Tatum is doing out east with Boston. I think he's left out of this conversation. But if there was anything that he had to do, I don't know, go on like 30 points a game run for these last 30 games and go catch OKC, or the voting is going to come in a little earlier, so about 25 games. Other than that, I think he's on the outside looking in this conversation.
Yeah, it seems like a stretch, Chandler. Do you have anything?
I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier with Tatum's numbers. If you told me the
Yeah.
MVP averaged 24, 8, and 9, I'd be like, sure, if they're the best team in the league, or if they set a historic, or if they won 60, 65 games. But it's more the MVP. The numbers are so gaudy these days. Where like SGA, Jokic, Giannis. I mean, I'd put Tatum. Karl Anthony Towns is probably above LeBron right now on the MVP ladder. So it's tough when you're in the middle of the pack team. Your numbers have to be so outrageous, and he's had a hell of a year. It's crazy. And I do think you got to factor in his age on this, but the guys' numbers ahead of him are just so much better, and their team success is also better.
All right, let's get to the good stuff. Lou, you're up first. What city's nightlife do you think distracts visiting players the most?
I didn't see that one.
Probably it used to be Miami, but Miami has a reputation of being so distracting that sometimes you might be able to negotiate with your coaching staff to be like, yo, listen, night before the game, y'all chill out, but we'll stay after the game. And then y'all can do your thing after the game. So it used to be a distraction. Now we found middle ground in Miami, but some of the sleeper picks is going to be ATL. Houston is going to be another one. Los Angeles is going to be another. Any of the big cities, you're going to have distractions everywhere you go.
Yeah, to me, it's Miami and New York City. If you ever see a guy with back spasms or flu-like symptoms, they're hungover, like more so than Indiana or like a town like that. In New York and Miami, everything stays open so late, and it's just a grab. If you go to dinner at 11:30 p.m., like those two to me are where I was slightly distracted.
Chandler, you're up first. Best visitors locker room, and then you got to get the worst. So be thinking both. Go ahead.
You know what's crazy? I don't really remember the locker room. I remember the food in Dallas as an opposing player was really good. Like they had a catering service, always bring this chicken Alfredo pasta that was bomb. And I used to always I used to always love. But you know, it's crazy as far as the worst. They're all pretty basic. Like you think they're kind of glitz and glamour and all this stuff. Like you're just kind of, and you get your little cubby, your locker. Usually your team kind of caters the food from some sort of restaurant that comes in. Some of the teams don't even let you use their weight room, so you're literally doing like band work and things in the hallway. There's no real crazy nice one, and they're all pretty bad, honestly, in my opinion.
Listen, I used to love Dallas. Dallas was my go-to. They had the best layout for opposing teams out of everybody in the league until the Golden State Warriors start playing in the Chase Center. Chandler, absolutely amazing. It's nice to the point you feel like you're getting tricked into playing a bad game. Like it's too comfortable. It's too nice. They got fresh food. So you're talking about a spread? No, they got chefs in there for you, and they're cooking. Nice. They're cooking the food right there in front of you on request. It's like, are y'all trying to get us tired? Like y'all want us fat? Chase Center has it by far. Salute to the Bay. The worst is gonna be Boston. Boston is the worst. It feels like there's Gatorade on the floor still from when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played. Like
that's cool.
Look, the fruit, they still lay the fruit out on a towel on the table. Like it's not even in a basket. It's not in catering. It's just laid out. There's a Gatorade cooler, and not like the big nice Gatorade coolers, like the one everybody got in their backyard for the barbecues. The pop the lid open,
it comes out.
Still got cans of Gatorade. It's just, it reeks of nostalgia. Too nostalgic though. Like,
but not good.
Yeah, the old nostalgia. There's a damn ice bath in the shower that doesn't work. Half the shower head, Boston's gonna hate this, but I'm sorry. Y'all did it. Half the shower heads don't work. Boston by far is the worst one.
Yeah, Boston, get it together.
Ask around. Tag every NBA player when they post this. Tag every NBA player and see what they say.
I actually now want to know. I want to know that. And by the way, who would ever eat fruit not in a basket? That is just
beneath. The fruit on the towel is wild.
Dear God, we're gonna come back and wrap things up.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
One game we'll all be watching. Chandler, what do you got?
Give me Lakers money line. It's a lot of points. It's like 12.5 points. So I'll give money line. It's LaMelo Ball. Fresh off All-Star weekend, proving a point. He's going to go nuts tonight, over 24.
24. All right.
I like it. Those are some pretty solid picks, but I'm going to stay in LA. I got Lakers money line, and I got Austin Reeves having a night. Over 20.5, 22 to be exact.
There it is. I almost forgot. I have points too. So some of us are going to have to get these wrong. That's way too many points. I got Luka over 26.5, LeBron over 22.5. I guess it's possible everybody gets theirs, but a lot of points. Too many points, if you ask me.
Also,
guys.
Like Mark Williams. Is Mark Williams going to play tonight? Dalton Connect. This is a nice little storyline here.
I think Dalton does. Mark doesn't. That's my guess. Just making it up, by the way. You guys, next time I see you, it'll be in Austin in a few hours. Safe trips to both of you. And bring a coat.
See you soon.
We will see you tomorrow live from Austin, Texas.
Freezing. Back warm.